Welcome to our first quote-unquote physical practice of asana and pranayama. Before we begin, I wanted to share just a couple thoughts on asana, and since it is so popular in our culture right now, as you go through this practice, I ask that you take what you've heard this saying before, the beginner's mind, so that as you enter postures, which asana is just the postures, that you consider, how is this new to me, as one possibility. So I have two main prompts I'll give you at different times, but to get us started, I wanted to share a quote by David Swenson. I don't know if any of you know him. He's a pretty famous Ashtanga teacher. And he says, oh my goodness, I realize this might be backwards to you all, but it says, the depth of asana is not as important as the knowledge of how to approach them at a personal level. So the depth, meaning how well you perfect it, how well you do it, how deep can you get into the stretch. He's saying may not be as important as the knowledge of how to approach them at a personal level. So just something to consider as you go through your practice in these asana sessions. Okay? So we're always going to start these sessions with a little bit of breath work. So whatever you need to sit comfortably. This day's session, you're going to need a block and something to sit on, or a blanket. If you're the kind of person, when you go into a squat, your heels rise up, you want to have something that's thick enough for you to be able to put your heels on it so your feet go down. Okay? So I'm going to invite you to find that seat and lower your gaze or close your eyes completely. Just take a few breaths here. So we're just going to do a basic breath exploration right now. Okay. You could also do this lying down if that would be comfortable for you. Just this session, and the other sessions I would ask you to sit up, so it's up to you. So in the Raja Yoga session, we had Raja, and also the Jnana Yoga session, we had talked about this concept of Ishvara Pranidhana, or something divine, all encompassing kind of energy. And in some philosophies around yoga, what you experience right now by feeling your breath, some believe that is the essence of that, the Ishvara bringing life into us, and then as we let the life out and exchanging it for more life to come in. So that kind of makes sense when you think about prana, which we'll talk about in future sessions in the Jnana Yoga session, about how it's about vital life force. Yeah? So as you breathe in and out, just considering the nature of where breath comes from, or what it is that's coming in. And then let's come more in tune to breath in the body. So when you breathe it in, where does it come in from? Where does it go to? What expands? Is it in your abdomen? Is it in your chest? And kind of notice your rhythm as you inhale and exhale. And then if it's possible, see if you can do a 3 to 4 second inhale and a 3 to 4 second exhale through the nose. with as little effort as possible. The aim here is to keep the sound soft, seeing if you can let the texture of the breath be smooth. If it's not, it's fine. Some of us have a little bit more jagged breathing. I do sometimes, for sure, because of asthma. But this is just beginning to understand and know your breath. So if your breath isn't already going down into your abdomen, see if you can draw it all the way down. So the belly expands. And then retracts on the exhale. If you find you have more breath in the filling of the belly, you can let it come up into the chest if needed. If you feel like you're ready to expand it, you could take an extra count. So instead of 3 to 4 inhale seconds and exhale seconds, you could try for 4 to 5. Just something that feels natural, that doesn't create any sense of anxiety for you. So this will be the practice we will work. That's the rhythm, kind of. So even before we start the asana, you may want to be in tune with where your breath is at, because I'll be guiding you through some other bits, but this is kind of the base for breath. So when you come to your asana practice, this is, the starting point. So you may want to, if you know that you're feeling a little more anxious or so forth, that you could do that before you turn on this video each time. Okay, so let's go ahead and start the asana practice. Again, having a pillow or blanket nearby and a block. Okay, so we're going to start standing. On an inhale, we're going to draw the arms up overhead and let one hand grab the opposite wrists. So my left is grabbing my right. And then on the exhale, I am leaning over in that direction, trying to keep length here, and obviously length will happen here, but see how much length you can come here, so you're bending more from the hip with the whole upper body versus condensing through and just bending here. Good. Inhale, come up. Switch the hand grasp. Exhale, other side. Good. Inhale up. And then draw the hands in front of the heart. Close the eyes for a moment. Settle in. Good. Inhale the arms to the sky. Exhale, fold all the way forward here. So on an inhale, draw the hands up, the shins flattening out the back. Keep the knees slightly soft. Extend through the spine, through the top of the head. And then exhale, fold in. So we're going to do that 3 times. So how far you bring your hands up the shin or at the base of the shin is really whatever your body allows. Again, slight bend in the knee here, so we're not locking out the knees. That's my third one. After that third one, I'm going to draw my hands and come into a squatted position here. So just taking a few breaths here. And then exhale, bringing the hands to the floor, stepping back into downward dog. And this time, I'm just going to take a few petals with my feet. So this is always your option when you come into down dog, is to pedal the feet to kind of stretch out the calves. Good. And then inhale forward into a plank. Pause here for a moment. And then exhale back into down dog. And then take the right foot forward. Keep the left hand on the ground, on the inside of the foot, or you could, if you can't reach it easily, come onto a block. So you could have 2 blocks here if getting down that low is too hard, or you're too tight. And come into a twist. Good. Exhale the hand to the ground. Step back into that downward dog position. Another option when you're here is to let your hips sway. Good. And then you can walk the feet forward. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale the hands. Other side. Take one little lift before you go into that side. And then stepping back, this time with the right foot and then the left foot. Again, your choice. Walking or shaking the hips. And then the left foot comes forward. The hand stays on the ground. Coming up into a twist. Exhale the hand down. This time step back into that downward dog and come into a plank. Exhale back into downward dog. Come forward into a plank. One more time. Good. Walk the feet forward. Coming into a forward fold. Inhale, rise the arms all the way up. Exhale the hands down. Take a moment if you need it. And then inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lifting up and through, straightening out the back. Exhale, folding in. So this time see if you can do the same, but not bring your hands up quite as far, but still extend out and through the head. Sorry. Exhale. Good. This time, step that right foot forward and coming into a lunge or Virabhadrasana 2. So this knee likes to be over the ankle-ish. Then reversing. Using the exhale to reverse. Good. This other arm is going to now come down onto the thigh, or it could come down to a block or all the way to the ground. So your choice. This hand can stay on the hip or extend out along the ear here. Parasvakonasana. Good. Exhale, release the hands to the ground. Turn all the toes forward and come into a forward fold. Turn the opposite foot and find your way up into Virabhadrasana 2 again. Other side. Exhale, reverse it. On an exhale, let the elbow drop here, hand to a block or to the floor, opposite hip, or extend it along. And then exhale. We're going to bring the hands back down, toes pointed. So one of the key things here is that that second and third toe space, is aligned with the middle of the knee to the best of your ability. So, for example, with me, my right leg was born turned out, so my legs don't rotate exactly the same. So if I try to get them pointing the same direction all the time, it tweaks a knee. So I just let this foot lay as it were, but I just make sure that I try to keep that alignment because it keeps my knee happiest. All right? Forward fold. And then let's reach over towards that right foot this time. Ankle, shin, whatever it is you can get your hands towards. Walk the hands to center. On an exhale, walk over to the other side. Sometimes I like to let the opposite hip just draw back a little bit. Increase that stretch through the side here. I'm always working on trying to make my side body nice and long. Come back to center. Good. And then we're going to just heel toe our feet in till they're about a little bit further than hip width apart for our squat. This is where you might need some assistance. So because my Achilles tendons are tight and my calves are tight, I have to put a pillow under here. So you got to make sure your heels are in contact with something. Okay? Safer for your foot especially. And then we're going to take a few breaths here. If you want a little bit of extra stretch in your upper back, you could take your upper arms, press them into your inner thighs, and vice versa, and you'll feel how that kind of activates the muscles on the back to stretch a bit. Just taking a few breaths. You could close your eyes and go inward. And then whatever way is safest for you, find your way into a seat. So I always sit on something because of the tightness of my inner thighs. The key with sitting is that we don't want our knees higher than our hips. So you can see even now, my knees are just about as high as my hips. Not quite. So I'm going to grab a blanket and put that underneath, just to raise myself up. And it varies day to day, the time of day, and so forth. There. Now my knees are at the same height as my hips. Here. My thighs are pretty level with the ground. Bringing the bottoms of my feet together, just let them be out far. We're not pulling them way in. Really listen to what your knees are saying. And then just for a moment here, let your heart lead the way into a fold forward. Good. Inhale, come all the way up. Take your hands behind you, placing them on the ground, fingertips pointing towards your butt cheeks. Draw your shoulder blades back, lifting the heart. And then you can stay elevated or you can move that away. I like to keep elevated. Actually, I'm going to just take the blanket out. I'm going to keep the pillow. And we're going to extend one leg, hug the other knee in. So typically I start with my right side, always. So that might be something to consider for your home practice, is to have a pattern so you can always remember. If you get distracted in your brain, I always start with my right side, so I know I didn't do that side yet. And then take this foot, cross it over, hug this knee over towards that opposite armpit, and on an exhale, take that twist. So there's a couple options for this twist. You could stay here if you're getting a nice stretch here. You could draw this elbow to the outside here. So you just want to make sure this doesn't rise up. You want to make sure the shoulder stays down. The other option is take this hand through the hole of your leg. So you can see my hand. Take this hand around. Have them meet behind. So any of those options. Again, let's come back to that deep breath we had in the beginning that goes into the belly. That'll really, our organs are going to love that in this twist. Good, and then gently release. Keep this leg extended, drop this knee down, just take a gentle forward fold here. See if you can reach out through the top of the head. So remember how I mentioned side body long? So really focusing on letting the hips ground down, lift up through the armpits and then out through the top of the head. So as you're here in this piece right now, I ask you to think about, what does new awareness feel like in my body? So maybe there's things, if you're actually able to kind of keep in mind that mindset that I offered in the beginning of the class, that beginner's mind kind of situation, going into each asana as if it were the first time. Okay? Let's extend through the other side now. So what is the new awareness feeling like in your body? It's just something to be curious about. Don't necessarily need to figure it out. It's just a ponderance. Leg crosses over. Hug this knee to opposite armpit. Exhale, twist. Again, you could take the arm to the outside here. You could take it through. As you can see, the other side I could put my arm through, this side I can't. My right shoulder is much, much tighter. So for me, there's a lot of different theories on this. For me, usually what I do in my home practice is I stay a little bit longer on the sides I know are a little bit tighter. I don't just do one side. I always do both sides. But one just I stay in maybe another minute or, a little bit more time, whatever that is. Good, and then gently release. Allow the knee to drop over, reaching out and through, folding here, feeling that length, hips to armpits. So it's the length here, from here, that helps the fold, okay? Again, it isn't about the depth, it isn't about how far can I get into it. That's as important as how you approach it on a personal level. That is David's guidance for us to consider. Good, and then gently coming all the way up. Now we're going to put both knees in front of us, give them a hug, curling in. So if your head doesn't rest on your knees, just stack your arms on top and then rest your head on your arms. Good, and then gently release. And then come to lying on your back. So I won't be lying on my back because I will be guiding you through a visualization for this. So as you're coming to lying on your back for Shavasana, for just a moment, I ask you one more question to hold. What is new to learn from and about my body? So maybe through today's practice, there is something new, a different kind of awareness that you've come using that lens of observing on a personal level versus comparison. And then I invite you to just let that awareness, that trying to figure out, to soften. Let the jaw soften. Let the lips soften. And just see if you can let that softness ripple down and through the body. And then just little wiggling of fingers and toes. Eventually rolling on to one side and pausing there. Maybe taking the awareness from the head into the heart and see how the heart would answer. What is new to learn from and about my body? So instead of your mind speaking, how would your heart answer that question? And then coming up to seated using your arms. You can keep your eyes closed or in a soft gaze. If you would like to take a little bit longer Shavasana, you could stay lying on your back and pause the video. And we'll just close our practice with an Om. So drawing the breath in through the nose. We'll see you in the next session.